An exciting world of chemistry. We're looking at Hess's law. Hess's law is defined as the energy of action can be determined using the sum of the energies of formations. What is an energy of formation? Well, it's a synthesis reaction from the base element that forms exactly 1 mole of substance. So examples of sodium chloride, salt. Sodium chloride is a solid, so we use a little S here to identify the state of matter. We then do sodium, which is also solid, and chlorine gas, which is Cl2, it's a gas. But if we balance these up, I have 1 sodium and 1 sodium, they're good. 2 chlorines, 1 chlorine. So I put a 1/2 here because I can't put a number here. This always has to be 1 mole. Let's look at another example. Let's do water. H2O is a liquid. It's formed from H2 gas and O2 gas. We have 2 hydrogens and 2 hydrogens, those are good. But 2 oxygens and 1 oxygen, to balance it up, I put a 1/2 in front of the oxygen in order to balance it up. All right, one more example. Let's do calcium carbonate. That compound you formed in the reaction of living reactants. Calcium carbonate is a solid. It's formed from calcium carbonate, and oxygen. My calcium, which is solid, is good. My carbon, which is solid, is good. I have 2 oxygens and I have 3 oxygens. To balance it up, I put a 3/2. Now, if you look in Appendix C, usually I'd have you open your books up, but because you don't have books, I've attached a file here called Appendix C. Go ahead and look at that. If you look in Appendix C for sodium chloride, the enthalpy is negative 410.9 kilojoules per mole. Remember, negative means that's exothermic. Okay, water is a negative 285.83 kilojoules per mole. It's also exothermic. And calcium carbonate is really exothermic. It's negative 1,207.2 kilojoules per mole. All right, so let's look at a problem. Determine the enthalpy of the reaction C2H4 ethene plus oxygen yields to give us carbon dioxide, CO2, and water. And we have all our states here, gas, 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 and liquid. All right, so let's look at the first thing we gotta do is balance it. I have 2 carbons, so I put a 2 over here for the carbon dioxide, 4 hydrogens, 4 over here, 4, 5, 6, so I put a 3 in front of the oxygen to balance it up. So at the end of the day, this is what I should end up with. So we have 3 compounds. We have ethene, we have carbon dioxide, and we have water. So let's start with ethene. Okay, that is the formation of reaction of ethene. 2 carbons solid plus 2 hydrogen gas gives me C2H4. And from the Appendix C, we find that the enthalpy formation is a positive 52.30 kilojoules per mole. Carbon dioxide and oxygen are listed here. CO2 plus O2 gives me CO2 and negative 393.5 kilojoules per mole. And H2 plus 1/2 O2 yields H2O is negative 285.83, which we've already talked about, kilojoules per mole. So how do I get this to look like this? Well, this is on the reactant side, this is on the product side. So we're going to flip it. Okay, and since it's 1-to-1, we don't have to do anything with it. But I do have to do something with this enthalpy formation. When I flipped it, it was a positive 52.30. When I flip it, it becomes a negative 52.30. All right, for carbon dioxide, it's going to go down exactly the same way because it's on the product side. So this is on the product side. We don't need to do that. So my number comes in exactly the same, negative 393.5 kilojoules per mole. But this is multiplied by 2. So we're going to multiply all of my formations by 2, which means I'm going to have to also multiply my enthalpy formation by 2, which changes it to negative 787 kilojoules per mole. All right, water, we're going to do the same thing, and you'll see that that's 2, and this is 1, so we'll multiply it by 2, and we'll take our enthalpy formation and multiply it by 2, and becomes negative 571.66 kilojoules per mole. We'll then have to add them up. So when we add them up, my hydrogens cross out because they're on both sides. My carbons cross out with both sides. We bring this down, C2H4 comes straight down. 2 plus 1, 3 oxygens, 2 carbon dioxide, and 2 water. So we bring them straight down and we get the reaction. And that's exactly what we had to start with, and that's what we want. So we add these all together, and the enthalpy of the reaction is a negative 1,410.96 kilojoules per mole. Let's look at a couple other ones here. Oh, and that's my answer. All right, let's look at between the enthalpy of the reactions. Oh, I already did that one, so let's delete that one. You don't have to do that one. Find the enthalpy of the reaction, HCl aqueous plus Na2CO3 solid yields give me NaCl aqueous plus CO2 gas plus H2O. And then do this one. It's a little bit different. We'll do this in class. Determine the enthalpy of the formation. Aluminum fluoride is if the enthalpy of the reaction AlCl3 solid plus F2 gas yields AlF3 solid plus Cl2 gas. And the enthalpy of the reaction is a negative 329.8 kilojoules per mole. All right, that's it. Take care. Be good. Bye.